It all began on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon at the bustling Metro Mall in downtown Chicago. The air was thick with the scent of pretzels from the food court and the hum of shoppers moving between stores. Among them was Special Agent Maya Thompson, a decorated FBI agent known for her sharp mind, unshakable integrity, and commitment to justice. Dressed casually in jeans and a leather jacket, she blended seamlessly into the crowd. Exactly what she wanted while conducting undercover surveillance for a high-profile case involving organized retail theft. Maya had been tracking a ring of professional shoplifters who targeted luxury stores across the city. These criminals were slick, operating under aliases and using sophisticated techniques to evade detection. She wasn't here to make arrests today. Her mission was purely observational. But fate had other plans. As she browsed through racks of designer handbags at one of the mall's upscale boutiques, two security guards approached her. Their body language screamed hostility before they even spoke. One of them, a burly man with a scowl etched onto his face, pointed directly at her. "You've got some explaining to do," he barked, loud enough for nearby shoppers to turn their heads. Confused, Maya raised her hands slightly in a gesture of peace. "Excuse me," she asked calmly. "Is there a problem?" The second guard, shorter but no less intimidating, chimed in. "We've got reports of someone matching your description stealing merchandise." "Don't play dumb." Her stomach sank. While she'd expected suspicion might come with the territory of undercover work, this felt different. The way they looked at her, the disdain in their eyes, the dismissive tone, it wasn't just suspicion. It was something darker, something personal. As a black woman, Maya was all too familiar with these kinds of interactions. She'd faced discrimination before, both subtle and overt, but never quite like this. "I'm not sure what you're talking about," she replied evenly, keeping her voice steady despite the rising tension. "I haven't taken anything. You're welcome to check my bag if you'd like." That's when things escalated. Instead of simply asking to inspect her belongings, the guards demanded she follow them to the back office. When she hesitated, citing her rights, they became aggressive. Before she could protest further, another figure appeared, a uniformed police officer responding to the commotion. What should have been a moment of relief turned into something far worse. Officer Daniels, a veteran cop with years of experience behind him, took one look at Maya and immediately sized her up, not as a potential suspect, but as a threat based solely on her skin color. Without listening to her explanation or allowing her to present identification, he ordered her to place her hands against the wall for a pat-down search. The irony was almost too much to bear. Here she was, a federal agent tasked with upholding the law, being treated like a common criminal because of baseless accusations fueled by racial bias. As Daniels frisked her roughly, ignoring her protests, the security guards stood by smugly, convinced they'd caught a thief red-handed. But then something unexpected happened. Hidden beneath her jacket was her badge holder, an unmistakable emblem of authority. When Daniels reached inside to retrieve it during the search, his expression changed instantly. His face went pale, his hands trembling as he realized the gravity of his mistake. The security guards froze, their smirks vanishing as the truth dawned on them. "Agent Thompson," Daniels stammered, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know." Maya turned slowly, her dark eyes locking onto his. There was no anger in her gaze, only a quiet resolve that cut deeper than any scream. "No," she said firmly. "You didn't bother to find out." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. The weight of the situation pressed down on everyone present, forcing them to confront the reality of what had just transpired. A respected law enforcement officer had been humiliated and degraded, not because of evidence or reasonable suspicion, but because of preconceived notions rooted in prejudice. What followed was a lesson in accountability and humility. Realizing the severity of their error, Daniels called for backup and ensured that Maya was treated with the respect due to her rank. He apologized profusely, though words felt hollow compared to the damage already done. Meanwhile, the security guards were fired on the spot after store management reviewed surveillance footage proving Maya's innocence. Yet the incident left scars that wouldn't heal easily. For Maya, It was a stark reminder of the systemic issues plaguing law enforcement and society as a whole. Despite her achievements and dedication to protecting others, she remained vulnerable to the same biases that plagued countless Black Americans every day. It was infuriating, exhausting, and heartbreaking all at once. In the days that followed, news of the incident spread like wildfire. Local media outlets picked up the story, sparking outrage and calls for reform within both private security firms and police departments. Advocacy groups rallied around Maya, praising her composure and resilience in the face of such blatant injustice. But she refused to let herself become a symbol of victimhood. Instead, she used the platform to advocate for meaningful change. At a press conference held outside FBI headquarters, Maya addressed the public with poise and determination. "This isn't just about me," she declared. "It's about every person who has ever been judged, not by their actions, but by the color of their skin. It's about dismantling the systems that allow racism and bias to thrive unchecked. And it's about holding ourselves accountable, not just as individuals, but as institutions." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring conversations about implicit bias training, stricter oversight of private security personnel, and greater transparency in policing practices. Lawmakers proposed legislation aimed at addressing these issues, while community leaders organized workshops and forums to educate the public. Meanwhile, Officer Daniels faced disciplinary action for his role in the debacle. Though his intentions hadn't been malicious, his failure to conduct proper due diligence highlighted the dangers of unchecked assumptions. He was suspended without pay and required to undergo extensive retraining on cultural sensitivity and procedural fairness. As for Maya, she returned to her duties with renewed purpose. The ordeal had shaken her, but hadn't broken her. If anything, it strengthened her resolve to fight for a world where no one else would have to endure what she had. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she also knew she wasn't alone. Countless allies stood beside her, ready to challenge the status quo and build a future defined by equity and justice. But the impact of the incident didn't stop there. Maya found herself reflecting deeply on her own experiences and the broader implications of systemic racism. She began working closely with advocacy organizations, sharing her story to highlight the pervasive nature of bias in law enforcement and beyond. She gave lectures at universities, participated in panel discussions, and wrote op-eds calling for comprehensive reforms. One particularly poignant moment came during a town hall meeting hosted by a local civil rights group. A young Black girl, no older than 10, approached Maya after her speech. With wide eyes full of admiration, the girl asked, "Are you scared when people treat you unfairly because of your skin?" Maya knelt down to meet the child's gaze. "Sometimes," she admitted softly, "but fear doesn't mean we stop fighting. We stand tall, speak up, and show the world that we deserve respect and fairness. Do you understand?" The girl nodded solemnly, clutching a notebook filled with scribbled notes from Maya's talk. "I want to be brave like you someday," she whispered. That exchange stayed with Maya long after the event ended. It reminded her why the fight mattered, not just for herself, but for generations to come. Every act of courage, no matter how small, contributed to a larger movement toward equality and justice. Back at the Bureau, Maya's colleagues rallied around her, offering support and solidarity. Some shared their own stories of bias and discrimination, creating a space for honest dialogue and mutual understanding. Together, they brainstormed ways to address institutional racism within the FBI and promote diversity and inclusion at every level. Maya also worked tirelessly to ensure that her investigation into the organized retail theft ring continued uninterrupted. Despite the setback at the mall, she remained laser-focused on bringing the criminals to justice. Her dedication inspired her team, who admired her ability to rise above adversity and stay committed to the mission. Months later, the case culminated in a major breakthrough. Thanks to Maya's meticulous work and leadership, the FBI successfully dismantled the theft ring, arresting several key players and recovering millions of dollars worth of stolen goods. The victory was bittersweet, however, as Maya couldn't help but reflect on the personal toll the journey had taken. When asked about her thoughts on the outcome during a post-case debriefing, Maya paused thoughtfully before responding. "Justice is multifaceted," she said finally. "Yes, we caught the bad guys, and that's important. But true justice means ensuring that everyone, regardless of race, gender, or background, is treated fairly and equitably. Until we achieve that, our work isn't done." Her words echoed throughout the room, leaving a lasting impression on everyone present. They serve as a powerful reminder that while individual victories were significant, systemic change required sustained effort and collective action. In the end, this wasn't just a story about a falsely accused FBI agent or a group of racist cops exposed for their wrongdoing. It was a story about courage, resilience, and the power of standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem insurmountable. It was a reminder that true leadership doesn't come from titles or uniforms, but from the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths and drive meaningful change. And perhaps most importantly, it was a call to action for all of us to examine our own biases, question our assumptions, and strive to create a society where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of the color of their skin. Because in the end, justice isn't just about punishing the guilty. It's about protecting the innocent and ensuring that no one is ever made to feel like a criminal simply for existing.